Hello, it's me, Annalisa, with my spiritual friend. I'm back. It's Sunday, January 24th, 2021. It's 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And not a whole lot of news, but that's good news, except for I got my bunny, and her name is Coco. My 4-year-old wanted to name her Hot Chocolate Breath. So we settled on Coco. She's very sweet. Um, she's settling in. It's very different. I grew up having cats and dogs, so it's very different having a bunny because they're prey animals, so they're quiet. So you just have to get used to them differently, and they eat hay, and I'm gonna have to switch her hay because we're all allergic to the type of hay that she eats, which is Timothy hay. Which is my one daughter walked out of her room this morning and her nose just immediately was stuffy and miserable, and she was like, "Ugh, can I have allergy medicine?" I got your payment, Charlie girl. You're on the list. Don't worry. KK will get that on here. I'm sure. I just sent her the email. I originally, if you saw two streams at first, I was originally in one of my browsers that my camera doesn't work on for YouTube. So I had to go to the other browser. So that's the excitement there. I don't know if anybody notices how calm the energy is. It's been really nice and really lovely. A nice change of pace since the Trump era. And even though there's still a lot to do and still kind of, things feel uncertain, and we've got still have the pandemic, it still just feels a lot calmer. So, hi, Cindy. Let me see yours. I'll look. Did you just pay? I'll throw you on here. Got Emily for 2. Cindy, I don't see your name on here, but maybe it just hasn't racked through here, but it's fine. I know you're good for it. All right, y'all. A bit after 8. Oh, I don't see it. Are you sure you paid the right thing? You might have paid it to. Yeah, double check because I don't have it. Yes, Emily F, I have you for 2. Yes, KK, yes. So Emily F paid for a second question after I emailed you. Yeah, it should be. I don't have it though. Can you just check for your receipt? Make sure that it went. It's not showing it. There could be a delay. I don't know. So let's get started. Patricia, if you're on here. All right, go ahead, ask your question. Just waiting patiently. I guess I should talk instead of just like staring. I just don't have a whole lot of I've been busy with this bunny. We picked her up last night and drove home, and with 3 little girls. She's a little freaked out, but because they just want to stare at her, and she's kind of like overwhelmed, I think. Patricia's question wanted to know the underlying cause of my anxiety. 8:42, you typed it. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. Okay. First, I feel like first of all, I feel it in my solar plexus. So some people feel that I'll feel their anxiety here in my chest, but yours, I feel it real tight and heavy. I feel like my stomach is just in a knot, like someone just took and twisted really tight. Can you at least validate that you feel it in your stomach versus feeling it in your chest when you feel your anxiety? I feel like your stomach is also extremely sensitive to stress and nerves. Okay. All right, new chapter. I'll have to look. Give me a minute and let me finish this question. So the feeling I keep getting is, I actually feel like this is related to your childhood, but when you're pretty small. So I would say between the ages of 2 and 3, like very young. And I keep feeling just a lot of fighting around me, feeling like it's kind of unstable, not really understanding what's going on, just feeling very uncertain, like afraid. Do you know if your parents' relationships or whoever, it feels like mom for sure, whoever would have been like a father figure if it's not dad in the home, sort of having this unstable relationship around you? Because that feels like the source of it for me, and almost too little, either I've blocked it out or too little to, like, really process it. Yeah. To me, that feels like the source of it, not a past life or some, I don't wanna say magical, because it happens. Yeah. So that to me is feels like it's where it started, and it just feels like when you don't have a foundation that's solid. It's interesting, so I was talking about this with a dear friend of mine, and, she has a lot of anxiety, and, um we were talking about her mother and issues, and sort of just why maybe that person wasn't a very good mother. So it feels like it wasn't like your parents had a really, I also feel like a bit of alcoholism, and I'm not sure where it lines up because I feel like maybe even the father figure having a drinking issue. Um, and mom having a lot of insecurities and mom not being sure of herself. And so therefore there's just all this energy around me that sort of doesn't lend to having a solid base. Um, and we're so little when this happens that we don't recall it, or our mind does this really beautiful thing to protect us in the moment and to get us through, the survival technique. And we forget and block out a lot. Um, so it just feels like this was the source of it. So there's a process called reparenting, and I think Nicole LaPera talks about it. She's a holistic type psychologist, and sorry, I just have to go. Which one? Um, she's on Instagram. She has YouTube videos. Father drank. Okay, that's what I felt. So it feels like, um, but it also just feels like your mom doesn't have the coping skills to deal with stuff, and I feel like lots of crying on her end and lots of, and like just completely, both of them completely unaware that you're there, like not concerned about the effect that it would have on you. I don't think they were capable to have that foresight, right? So to me, it feels like if you went back, so therapy is always great. But if that's something that's not on your plate, I really recommend looking into what she does. She does talk about reparenting. There's this idea that you can go and, you know, um, talk to little you and say that you're safe now. You no longer need to worry. But there's also this part of having the anxiety where you're also picking up other people's energy around you, right? So sometimes when we're having anxiety, and we're the catchphrase of the day is, of the time right now, is empath. But it's your clairsentience, right? It's one of your clairs, clear feeling. When you feel what other people feel, you don't always, we have been sort of trained to not pay attention to our intuition. But when you feel what other people feel and you don't understand that you're feeling it, um, you think it's all yours. So in my sense is that you're also picking up other people's stuff too. So it's a combination, but a huge part of it is needing to like kind of go back and reparent or reprogram this belief system that you aren't safe, because you are safe. And sort of maybe even consider, like, it's the idea of like forgiving yourself for not knowing better all of these years, instead of being like, oh, what's wrong with me? There's something wrong with me. I'm such a terrible person. Because gosh, if you grow up with this unstable environment and you have no idea what normal relationships are and what healthy relationships are, I guess I suppose it's normal that people have alcohol problems and, lots of people have them, right? So I guess that's not necessarily abnormal, but it's not healthy. So you don't have this foundation of what a healthy relationship is and what healthy communication is and healthy coping mechanisms and how but being parented healthy. And not to blame your parents, unfortunately, they just didn't have the skills themselves, right? So um, if you don't get that foundation, there's nothing wrong with you. You just didn't get it, right? You didn't get the schooling. So don't beat yourself up over having it. Just learn to maybe forgive yourself all of these years that maybe you've been hard on yourself or felt weird or strange or something was wrong with you. Like, just be like, holy shit, this is normal. Like, this is like for everything that I went through. No wonder it's amazing I'm not worse. Like, that's what I often think is like, it's amazing that some of us aren't worse than we, considering what we went through. Um, so your stomach is, when you say it just started in your stomach, which is weird. This is your solar plexus, right? That's where your stomach hits your solar plexus chakra. And that is how you relate to the world, how the world relates to you, and your self-esteem. So it's also tied to your root chakra, right? So which could be your root and your sacral, or kind of like encompass your intestinal area, right? So this is the basis of your foundation and what you know and how to process the living world. And if your base wasn't really your foundation wasn't strong or good, it would manifest kind of physically in this whole area because it's all interconnected. Some people, I think when I feel it in the heart chakra, it's different, but this is where I'm feeling for you, and that's why I feel it. I do believe that you can heal it. I do believe that you can. It doesn't mean that. So when you go through a lot of trauma when you're younger, this idea that, okay, I'm going to be healed, I go through healing and I'm never going to have a trigger again, I'm never going to have this, is sort of foreign to me. Because but what really I've found is it's not that I'm never triggered, it's not that I've never had that thing that happens, it's just that I start to recognize it quicker, and instead of beating myself up for it, I sort of kind of go, okay, this is what this is. You don't have to worry. You're not, and you're safe. This is all safe. This is okay. Like, I kind of work through those steps and it passes quicker rather than going down a massive rabbit hole and feeling terrible it used to be for a long period of time. And then, as I did more healing and stuff, it helped. Okay, so I hope that's helpful. Please like and subscribe and share me with your friends. That's how people find out about me, is by the word of mouth. And even though it's not a billion likes and subscribes, maybe somebody who needs a reading, or at least needs to even hear what somebody else's message is, because oftentimes there's crossover in messages. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Sometimes people are like, oh my God, I swear this is for me. That's how they find me. Okay, Cindy, I got yours. So just tell people about me, like, subscribe, hit the bell, all of that good stuff. Hello, Emily. Welcome back. Martins. I'm just writing the names down and then I'll add them to the list. And Eva. Okay. So KK, I have 2 for Cindy, Virginia, Eleanor, Emily, 2 for Emily, M. There's also another Emily in the room tonight. Michaela Mitkova and Eva. Okay. New chapter. If can you just give me your first name so I can see if I found it? Because I'm not necessarily checking the notes right now, so I'm just trying to move through it. Okay, so Dan, you wanted. Thank you, spiritual seeker. Dan, you asked for a message from spirit. Did you want a specific person you'd like me to try and connect with? Because I don't feel any. There is a gentleman here. Has your father passed? He feels a little bit taller too. So if it's not your father, it's your grandfather. And I don't feel very old when I passed. He has passed. Oh, you know what? I think I did know that. I'm sorry. He feels a little bit taller, and I feel like not a full head of hair. It's funny. I feel like the energy of, when you like see movies and they've got the dad who's like, I don't know necessarily that he's an alcoholic, but he's got the beer and he's like, why couldn't you do better? Like there's just this like you go to like the baseball game, he's like really hard on the little kid for not being perfect. That's the energy I keep pulling. He's 6'3", so he's really tall. Okay. Same hair as you. Oh. And it's weird because I feel like I'm wearing a short sleeve button down shirt. Like I wouldn't have necessarily worn a long sleeve, to like a professional, but I'm wearing a short sleeve button down short shirt, and they're not coaching pants, but they've just got he wasn't the most fashionable. Loved beer. Well, that would be why he has a beer. Did he have a lot of nausea at the end and a lot of I feel like a lot of nausea. I feel like very hard to keep things down. Nice guy. He was a rock and roller? Maybe he didn't think of it. I don't know why. Maybe it's just the image of trying to get me to be like, was he nice but kind of like critical in a way? Like you're not doing it good enough, or you're not doing it right, or there's something there that feels like because of the image he's giving me. Maybe he felt like he was overly critical and should have been easier. Did he have a lot of nausea at the end? Because he just made me feel like I want to throw up. Not really. Not really critical or not really nausea. I realize there's a delay, so I'm like rambling. If he's showing me that as a kind of character, or as a personality thing, I feel like he thinks he was very critical of you. How we perceive things and maybe how you receive them are completely different. Okay. Maybe some of the medicines they were giving him were making him really nauseated, because I just felt like he's saying he's sorry. Like he doesn't feel like he did right by you. He doesn't feel like he did. Like, even if you think he is a nice guy, he doesn't feel like he did. Like, it's regret of not putting family first. It's just that feeling of like, I just like he goes, "If I had it all over to do all over again," and he looked at me, he goes, "Well, I mean, I do, but but not this particular thing." Like, he understands that he believes in, that there's the reincarnation and stuff, but he's like, "If I had it," he just would have made different choices along the way. Okay. And so that's the feeling of apologizing and not feeling like he did right by you. He said, "I just couldn't see, and I always thought there would be more time." Do you know the circumstances around where he was shot? Because or how he was shot? Because it's sort of like feeling like it wasn't meant for him, or he, like, stepped in the way or something, like, it wasn't like, it doesn't feel, like, fully intentional, i.e., nobody was, after him? Okay. Because it feels like I got in the way, or, like, it doesn't feel like I was stepping in the way to protect somebody, but it's like I took a step over, and it was like it shouldn't have hit me, but because I moved one direction, it hit me. That was a lovely friend, wasn't it? What's interesting is when you said that, he's like, "Yeah, but," like, he doesn't really even blame him. It's that feeling of no matter what his friends did, he was always friends with them, and even now, he still was like, "Yeah, but," like, he's sort of taking the blame too, like, he won't let his friends take the blame for stupid decisions. Did your mom ever say if he visited her, like, after his death in a dream or something? Because he just said to me, "I visited her after my death. I visited her." Ellen, I got her deposit or her money. Oh, I mean, I got her question. I mean, whatever, I got her payment. Yes, okay. So that to you is validation about the information he's giving me. Um, he still visits, and is it your younger daughter that has the ability to? Because I feel like she's seen him. And is there some way it's weird, he's showing me, like, one of your daughters, I don't know which one this is, to be honest with you, and it's a cord connecting the 2 him to her, showing, like, this light connection between the 2 of them, and that there's, I think a namesake or something that you did in honor of him. You're not sure. There's some so maybe I'm getting it wrong, but that's the feeling I get when I see this cord connecting them. Maybe feel it out, see if your girls give up any information. Do you know if he always had I don't know why he's giving me this, but like I think this is his, like I feel like it's right on the occipital base here, right where your neck connects in, like you feel your head start to round. There's something there. So did he have like an issue? I guess that would be like C2, C3 cervical area, maybe having like just or always have neck issues or something. He maybe didn't know where it was about. Like maybe he didn't know the exact area, but always kind of had like neck issues. You do. Okay. So maybe that's what he's acknowledging then, because I was like, I think, but I'm not. Okay. Do you go to a chiropractor for it? Because I almost feel like they could take care of it without surgery. And it actually feels like it's like, I don't know, like there's all this interconnection. They make it worse. So my chiropractor doesn't always, well, he will pop and reset, but he does this like a lot of, I can't think, well, he does Graston, which I really like. It's like this metal thing that just like digs into your muscles and like pulls the knots out. Like it leaves actually like almost like bruising or like petechia. Like it just looks terrible afterwards, but it works. But it's like that feeling of the way they're showing me is like it's all the muscles like connected from your traps all the way up and that connect into the base of your skull. It feels like it's all of that's tight and it's like pulling your neck wonky. Maybe find a different chiro. I don't know. Or go to PT, but it doesn't feel like it necessarily has to be a surgery. And also manifest it and think about it differently. Right? So instead of saying, you got to get more, I couldn't find anything. Okay, that's why I think it's muscles and not necessarily a bulgy disc, whatever. So instead of saying, let's manifest it differently. So if you can't see getting better without it just your body releasing and getting better, instead of saying they make it worse, say the universe will bring me the perfect practitioner. So whether it's going to be chiro or physical therapist, or I don't know, they have those stretching places, right? So whatever the practitioner is, the universe will bring me the perfect practice. Universe, or put it in past tense as if it's already happened. The universe brought me the perfect practitioner to help relieve and release all of this tension and pain that's hurting me in my neck and that's creating, I suspect, headaches and other things. And I intuitively and instinctively knew that this was the person that was going to help me. And it was really cool, the synchronicities that happened for me to find this person. And I feel so much better now. So it's like all these little things to sort of shift that and release that, like that when we say things, that it is what it is, right? So they always, so now you've decided that every single person can't help you and they make it worse. And so it is. I'm trying to teach my 7-year-old, almost 8, how to do all of this because she'll say just certain little things. And I'm like, no, 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 as if it's already happened. Not I want it, because I want it means you don't have it yet. And so you're focusing on the lack of it. So as if it's already happened. My oldest one is kind of like, okay, mom, whatever. My little one's too little to understand. Okay, I'm going to leave you with all of that, Dan. Does that qualify as your 2? Because it kind of rolled into your stuff too from your guides. Does that satisfy your 2, or do you want me to do an actual? Because your dad kind of stepped out, and then we were just talking about you. Are you satisfied? Or do you feel like you got yes, okay. And I'm glad your dad came through. That was really cool. See, I forget a lot of things that you'll tell me at points, and I'm like, I'm in a totally different world. Thank you. Jen Justman wanted to know. She has a deposit down for litter puppies and wants to know if the mother is pregnant. If the pregnancy took. Gotcha. A litter? Whew. That's a brave woman. I gotta tell you, like, with this little bunny, like you can actually train them. Like people are like, oh, they're destructive. They're really not any more destructive than a puppy or a cat. And you can train them just like, and they're very smart and they're so sweet. I'm smitten with my little bunny. Okay, so let's look at puppy. Did it take? It did take, and I feel like so I'm waffling between numbers. So I solid on 5, but I don't know if it's that there's 5, but then only 4 make it, or if it's that there's 6, but only 5 make it. But I do feel like it took, which is weird. It's an interesting question. I've never been asked to validate a litter of puppies before. They are really sweet. She's just like, she's so cute. I never really, I mean, I think when I was like 3 or 4, my mom took us to somebody's house. I don't remember who, somebody she knew in San Antonio. And they had a lop ear bunny, but it was like a bigger one. And I remember like it was bouncing around. They didn't have it in a cage. And I thought it was weird because it seemed like there was poop everywhere. And my bunny has like, she's left a couple little, but she's like, she seems pretty well trained. So already. So we'll see how she does. Yeah, Keisha, you can donate. I'm gonna just pick them up and put them in her little box so she knows to go in her box. And I've got a couple little boxes for her. So when she plays, she doesn't have to go back into her. Eventually, I would like her to be free roam. That's another story. But she's just like very sweet. Anyhow, okay, so that's Jen Justman. Mallory, you're up. Starry Sky, 2 questions. Devry, 2 questions. You're welcome, Keisha. I'll look. All right, I got Keisha on there. All right, I got Mallory. Why do I feel really like as soon as I read yours, I feel really like tight in my throat and like coughing. Are you having like either a cold right now or allergies or something like that? But I just felt really tight. Oh, okay. You were crying hard and started coughing. What's weird is after that, he showed me almost like somebody using like a pen light in my eyes. Like, so did you have to go to like get checked out? But it's like I'm seeing a pen light in my eyes, like somebody might use to check the reactivity of my pupils to make sure that I was okay, I was there, or like maybe they were doing a checkup and said like follow the light, that kind of a thing. I think first of all, the coughing thing is enough of a validation that yes, he is seeing what's going on, but I also feel like there's a bit of no, there's something where okay, so I don't know what this is about this. Maybe this is about needing to get a checkup or whatever, but the coughing at least I feel like is a validation that yes, of course he's seeing, but I also feel like a need for privacy. Why is he saying candy? Like, and I don't feel like it's as in a person. I can be wrong about that, but I feel like something about candy. I don't know if this is like, "Oh, if I just give you a piece of candy, you'll feel better." Like, it feels kind of like a joke, not like a, "You like candy." Like, "If I give you a piece of candy, you'll feel better." Like, it's so weird. Like, it is like an abnormal obsession with candy. I have a friend who I grew up with, and she has, like like, an abnormal obsession with gumballs. Like like candy, like sometimes she'll show like she does like all the little Instagram stories things, and it's usually of her kids, but she'll show like her like make a face and like a and like you'll see like this like drawer full of candy. Would he ever made a joke to you about the candy? Like if I give you, I'll give you some candy and you'll feel better? Like as sort of to lighten the mood to sort of like kind of pull you out of it? He said, you know, you don't need to worry. I will always be here for you, no matter what. He said, even when you find a new man, because you're going to, I will always be here for you. He said, we're connected. We've always been together. We're connected. Like, would he have said to you he felt like you had always known each other, or you've spent lifetimes together? Okay. Which daughter? Can you give me a first name? So I don't know if this is literal or metaphorical, but I'm feeling a slap in the face. And he said it's a feeling of her mother needing to step up more, like feeling like she's not doing what she should be doing. Okay. Because it's a feeling of like, it's not really your position. Her mom really needs to be stepping up and doing what she should be doing as a parent, and she's not. He doesn't seem to be worried about her. Like, as much as you're saying there's so much going on with her, he's sort of making me feel like it will all work out and she will be okay. But like, she sort of tends to choose the harder path. She sort of tends to choose like it could be so much easier, but she chooses the difficult path. And that's sort of like her journey in this lifetime is how to sort of learn to veer off of making those choices. You're welcome, Mallory. As much as you love him, he just said this, so this is not from me, but and so don't shoot the messenger. As much as you love them, they are not your responsibility. Even when you were married, I feel like he kind of would when he was still here and you were married, I feel like he would kind of say to you, like, this isn't your responsibility. You don't have to do this. So while you love them dearly, don't put so much on, like, thinking that I would be upset if you're not doing this. And I should say, take this on or put this on yourself and complete that whole thought. So again, this is not from me. This is him. Like he said, it's time to let go. It doesn't mean sever ties, don't have a relationship, but just step back and give yourself a break and reprieve and know that it's not your responsibility. Sort of like I'm here if you need me, but I'm not going to overreach anymore. And it's like that feeling that she said, like, you're not my mom and like blah, 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 blah kind of thing. Like what a shithead teenager would say. Pardon my awesome descriptive words. I know we can pick better words than swear words, but sometimes swear words really just nail it. I mean, it just feels like that. Like, I feel like she will regret it at a point, but I just feel like she needs to get there. So I'm going to leave you with that. Starry Sky, you're up. And I'm sorry. People are assholes, even people we love. Sometimes especially is the thing. You're welcome. Sorry, it's needed sometimes. It is. My 7-year-old, she goes, Mom, I know what the SH word is. And I go, oh yeah? She goes, yeah. It was even said in some kids movie. And I'm like, probably some 1980s movie I played for her. She's kidding. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. Just don't say it. Okay, Mom. And one time we were in the car and it was funny. She was like, I really want to say the SH word right now. I was like, I know. I can't blame her. Okay. I always say, like, when you're a grown up, you can swear. Meanwhile, when I was like 6, I was like, fuck this, fuck that. Because my dad's favorite saying was, goddamn son of a bitch. So, okay. Sorry, Sky, I'm on. Sorry. Any messages from my guides? Do you believe in angelic beings such as angels? I do believe in angels. So it becomes this like, do I think they have wings? I don't know if they're wings necessarily. I think perhaps it's really part of their aura and that's the way we see them, but wings aren't truly necessary, no, are they? Same thing with the halo. It's like part of their aura. Seeing their crown chakra open. But I do believe in them. I believe in higher beings. I believe that there are entities, elements that are connected into source. We're all part of source, right? We are all, it's like a collective, connected, everything, interconnected energy. And maybe consider it like if you're getting information, there's certain people like your guides may not be fully ascended or fully like kind of in there, but they have like a way to reach in and connect with you on a different level. Shoot, I just realized I'm cold in here and my heater's out in the other room. My basement is like, anyway. So yes, I believe in angels. I teach my kids about them. Hi, Urban Lady. Yeah. Oh, close the list. Please do. This is enough people. Um, yeah. So that's sort of my, yeah, yes, I do, but I don't necessarily believe as in like the wings and all that. But I do ask certain specific angels to help with like Gabriel is for communication, Raphael is for healing, Chamuel is love, Michael is like the all around protector. Metatron, I always connect with people who are highly intuitive. But I call upon some of them to help me cross energies over just because, not because I necessarily need to, because, you don't. But I just always feel like it's nice to have people who facilitate, and make it just a little bit, for me, it makes it easier. Like, so the people who can communicate well and make sure that the communication is crossed over and make sure that the healing is sent and make sure that the love is sent. Cause I always cross people and energies over with love because, well, shit, we all need a little bit of that, right? Okay, so as far as a general reading for you, they said to me clean bill of health. So I don't know if you got a checkup recently and they said, or you're about to go to one, but I heard clean bill of health very clearly. I said, stop worrying. I feel like it's sort of actually with your eyes. So have you had a recent check on your eyes and they're saying everything looks good? And they also said you're in a hurry, you need to slow down a little bit. So it's like stop rushing to always get there. Um, this actually feels like with your knee. Like just relax and allow it to take its time. I feel like no surgeries this year. Um, no surgeries this year, but they did say that you may eventually need hearing aids. And I'm laughing because I thought, well, you're worried. Well, clean bill of health is what I hear. So I want you to come back next week on Sunday and be like, Anna, you were right. It was a clean bill of health. I didn't need to worry. Um, and your knee too. Okay. And I don't know if you can validate the hearing aids thing, but that's that. So I don't feel like that's immediate, but I do feel like eventually you will need a little bit of an assist on the hearing. It is what it is. You're welcome, Starry Sky. Devry, you're up. Shaheen and Charlie Girl. Devry, you have 2 questions. Will Timmy and Maxie ever get their lives together? Yes. I feel like Maxie before Timmy. I actually feel like Maxie is open to all this manifestation stuff and sort of like kind of and what's interesting is because I feel like he's seen it work for like people he looks up to and admires. So he's sort of like more open to it. And then a general reading for Debris. I don't know if your grandma is still alive, but I think she's crossed over because of the way it's coming through. But I also feel like she was really like, she would have considered this stuff evil. And because she's like, she needs to stay away from that evil. And I was like, all right. Like, but I feel like it's more of like a symbol to status, like to sort of just stay focused on your spiritual connections, stay focused on the work and stop allowing that inner voice telling you that you're doing something wrong or it's not going to work out or that there's some bad negative part of you. Does that make any sense? Because it's like, I sort of feel like the thing is kind of like just let all that go and change the inner dialogue. Yes. Okay. So stop hearing your voice or her voice in your head when you feel like you're doing something wrong or you're like, like you're trying to go for something and it's not working out because it's evil and like that's what you were taught. Sometimes, listen, I had people tell me they were going to pray for my soul and that I better get with the Bible, and all kinds of things. I thought it took me a long time to get rid of that fear connected to what I do. And that fear of like, even spiritual people are like, you gotta protect yourself. And if you're not doing it right, like da da da. It just took me a long time to break free of all of that. So it's just that feeling of like, let all that go, get rid of that voice in your head. Cause even when she was here, I was like, oh God. Enough is enough. Be kinder to yourself and ignore grandma voice in your head. Shaheen, Charlie Girl, and Emily F., you're up. I hope that's helpful to you, Jeffrey. Are there any messages for my spirit guides? Thank you. Shaheen. Any messages for Shaheen? Okay. So they said you're doing fabulous. You're on the right path. You just need to crack the code. To me, that means, metaphorically speaking, when you're doing manifesting. So you're working on manifesting, I'm assuming, when they say it to me that way. And you can validate this at any point. I'm just going to keep rambling. And it feels like just changing certain words and certain phrases. So like when I see people go like Dan, I said earlier, I was like, no. Don't say that. Say this instead. Like you sort of have to become super hyper aware of what's going on mentally for you and how you're saying things. And that literally everything that we say sort of kind of manifests what we want in one way or another. Can you validate any of that? So it's just like they're saying like you're doing really well with that. So if I began the process of really consciously manifesting and looking at my life and looking at my mental diet and like being hyper focused on it, they're saying you're doing great, but you just haven't quite cracked the code yet, but you're going to get there. It's like I feel like I'm right on the precipice of doing that. And then they threw in at the end, don't worry, love is coming. And they show like a sunset. So I don't know if, and that doesn't mean sunset years. It just means like, when you think of like the end of romantic movies, going off into the sunset, all of that. And when I say romantic movies, I mean like, the old ones, because the newer ones are not always like that. But it's working. You just haven't fully cracked the code. So they're saying like, it's sort of more of about like a minor, like in their eyes, it would be considered a minor grammatical error, right? So you need to change the tense of something. So instead of being this is is going to happen, it's this is happening or this happened. So you sort of have to, write it into existence. And don't look at if you have a doubt or is this happening as I've screwed it all up, it's not going to happen. Look at it as there's still something around that needs to be cleared out, some belief system that needs to be cleared out. So I'm going to ask my guides, what is it that's keeping me from manifesting this? What belief system am I holding on to that's keeping me from fully grabbing onto the abundance of everything? And they'll show you. It means that you'll either watch a video and someone will talk about it, or it'll pop up in a conversation or a quote. Like it'll come to you in all kinds of ways. I know that one thing I was like worried about because there's something I'm working on manifesting. And so I imagine it a lot, but not because, or potential scenarios a lot, not because I doubt that it's coming, but because I enjoy it. And I was like, oh God, am I fucking this up? Am I not dropping it? Am I not like letting it go? And then I happened to watch a video came up for Roxy Talks like literally within 3 days of me kind of throwing this out there, and she's like, talks about this scenario, and she's like, I imagined it not because I didn't believe it, but because I was just really excited about the possibilities of it. So like I felt like, okay, that's okay. So it's gonna like this is fine. I'm not messing anything up because we want to do the best that we can in a situation. So it manifested that. I always trust that like when I have a question out there, like the my guides are gonna like throw it at me. The universe is gonna throw it at me. Charlie girl, you're up. Emily F, you have 2 questions. Cindy, you have 2 questions. And I totally dig this manifesting thing, so you'll hear me talk about it a lot. I'm very stressed about a situation. Will it work out in my favor? So they said it will, but not in the way you want and not in the direct way. So like you want it to be like cut, clean, dry, and simple. Like say I go in and I ask for money or I ask for something and I want this is the result. It's sort of like it's gonna work out in your favor, but it's not exactly as the way you imagine it. And it's sort of like this weird roundabout way to get to it. I mean, if you don't want to be more specific, that's the way they're giving me the answer because it's not more specific. It's hard for me to explain. It's like a woman asked me for a reading and I don't understand what she does for a living. Like I don't understand the simple dynamics. Like if you asked me about, I can talk about retail because I worked retail at a point, and I can talk about nursing. So I can say, oh, it'll be like this, 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 and this, or it would be this position or like this. I was like, they're just showing me 5 pods. She works, I can't even remember what she does now. And I was like, so I drew a picture and I said, so I guess it's like groups, but I was like, I don't know, they're showing me 5 groups. Are there 5 groups? She's like, oh yeah, there are. And I said, well, it's like I have a wheel with all of these pods and it's not one person moving in and out. It's like shifting around. Like they're showing me like, and she goes, okay. Like I didn't know any way to explain it. So I don't know how to fully explain this because I don't fully know what the problem is. And if you want to keep that alone and quiet, that's fine. But it's like, it's not exactly the way I want. It's just a roundabout way and it does work out in my favor, but it's not a way I would have expected it to work out. Like, so I'll leave it at that since you said you understand it. Emily F, you have 2 questions. Cindy, you have 2 questions. And Virginia, you have a question if you guys want to start. I always think it's funny how you kind of wait. You guys are really patient and respectful of each other. You're welcome, Charlie girl. Good evening. What's going on with your stomach? So I don't feel like it's a viral thing. It feels more related to like my gut flora being off and having more like a leaky gut kind of thing versus a viral thing. So I'm like, well, what could be wrong with the stomach? The other part I feel like actually too is I don't know, like for me, I'm going to explain it this way because it's the best way I know how to explain. Growing up as a child, I had all kinds of weird food allergies that I would I would have, and then I would grow out of. So like for a while I was allergic to watermelon and orange food dye and so like I would break out in hives and then I would like cut it out of my diet for long enough and then eventually I could eat them again. Now as I've gotten older, instead of breaking out in hives, my stomach kills. Like I'll eat something. The most recent thing I had to like was a portobello mushroom. I think regular mushrooms are okay, but portobello mushrooms and like eggs now, like even the whites I can't eat without my stomach just feeling like someone is literally like ripping in it. Like imagine Alien, the movie Alien where the alien comes out of your stomach. Like that's how my stomach feels. And it's your body releasing histamine into your stomach. So if I can't take stomach medications because it doesn't help. It just still hurts. If I take an antihistamine, I feel great. and it's fine. It goes away. So it feels like there might be a little bit of that going on. So I feel like gut flora is off, a little bit of leaky gut, but also I think there's a food allergy issue. And instead of like breaking out in hives, you're actually having histamine being released into your stomach. You woke up with a pain one night. It could be a delayed reaction to something too, like a delayed, like what, but that's what they're showing me. So keep a food diary. That's the best thing I can tell you. See if there's a connection to eating certain thing. Like if I'm eating this thing and it creates this pain, the informal diagnosis is IBS. Could be, but I think there might be an actual, so it's worth paying attention. One Benadryl, you'd probably be okay taking. I'm not, again, not a doctor, so I'm not diagnosing. And always recommend to go to your doctor and get that figured out. But one way to sort of kind of pinpoint is like keep a food journal, and see if there's a correlation of every time I eat this, this is happening. That's my sense, is that it's more of a combination of things. So when they tell you for like leaky gut and all of that, make sure you're taking a probiotic, cut back on processed foods, cut back on sugar, things like that. You're welcome. Is there something you eat consistently, like every night before you go to bed? I know that some people have a habit of like, I eat a cup of yogurt every night before I go to bed, or I like to, have half a peanut butter sandwich, like whatever it is. Is there something you consistently eat every night before you go to bed? Or I always have, some people always have a cup of coffee after they eat. Maybe not even after, but like in the evening, not right before bed. Just an idea, like just that's not necessarily psychic. It's just might flip a switch in your head. You had 2 questions. So what was your other question? I feel like, I will say this, I feel like whatever it is, it feels treatable. It doesn't feel like it's out of my control. What would be the likely consequences of telling Andrew how you feel? Okay, I feel good about it, but I also feel like it will sort of blindside him in a way, like he's completely oblivious. I remember one time my husband and I were out. I think we were still dating at the time. We went out to Arizona for New Year's. We've got friends that live out there. And we were out at like a restaurant bar kind of place. And we were all outside, and like I guess he was inside at the bar with some of the guys, or I don't know. I wasn't even really paying attention. And there was some guy started hitting on him, and he was like, even the guy said, "You're completely obtuse." Like he had no clue. And he doesn't like recognize when women hit on him or when they would. I would just notice like people flirting, and he like didn't, like he's completely oblivious. So it's that feeling of like not really recognizing, but okay, like happy about it. It doesn't feel like, oh my God, let's fall in love. Like, but it does feel like a good reception. But also like I had no idea kind of feeling. Not like, oh my God, what? Blah. I think he thinks like, I don't think he realizes like, I think he's just oblivious, like, but totally happy about it. I think he just doesn't. I will also think that you're so conscious of your feelings and flirting that maybe you're not over the top letting it known. Like you're way more subtle than you think you are. So I'll leave you with that. Cindy, 2 questions, Virginia and Eleanor. Okay. I had a bad dream regarding my sister and nephew last night. Some insight about that. Can you just give me your sister's name and your nephew's first name? Ashlyn and Carter. So I see her struggling. So it feels like it's much more metaphorical, but it is prophetic in a way. But they said to me that she's struggling to get out of debt. So do you know if she has a harder financial situation or it might be worse than you're aware of? And it isn't working. Okay. Oh, she's pregnant and isn't working. Okay. So my feeling is it's really kind of about what the stress that's kind of surrounding her and the financial situation. Okay. So doesn't want judgment, wants to feel like she's I don't want to say independent, but it feels like there was always a lot of judgment with her. Do you want to say like you're the good one and she's the bad one? I don't know, not that she's bad, but you know what I mean? Like you've got it together and she doesn't. I feel like pregnancy will be fine. He'll be safe. It's okay. I don't feel like she's going to make any crazy decisions or anything like that, but it just feels like she's struggling a lot more than she's telling you. She's struggling really hard to get out of financial debt. Um, I actually feel what's going to happen is when she has the baby or somewhere along the way, someone through the hospital system or her OB-GYN or something will set her up with a social worker, which will help her navigate the system. I don't feel that person is going to be you helping out. Okay. But I do feel like it's going to hook her in and she'll be okay. Did you have another question? Virginia K and Eleanor and Emily M, get ready with your questions, please. No other question? Are you sure? Okay. Wait, yes, you have another question? I always forget that I kind of ramble stuff off. Friend. Okay, go ahead. Ask your question. Oh no, is this the one that's like voted one way? Oh, she was unsupportive. Okay, sorry. I was gonna say. Sorry. As soon as I finished reading. Oh. Well, I mean, I feel like this isn't psychic. This is just a friend telling you to nip that crap in the bud and set your boundaries and be done with it. Yeah. That's not a friend. Bye. That's acting like it doesn't happen is a complete narcissistic way of gaslighting and letting you know that like they don't want to be held responsible for hurting your feelings or for the consequences. You know, they don't want to be held responsible for their choices and their actions. So she doesn't address it because she doesn't want to be held responsible. It just feels like to me, I just keep feeling cut, 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 cut. So like I know there's people who are like this cancel culture and we don't want to like I'm like we don't want to, just cut people off because they did something wrong, but there's a point where you just got to go some people are meant for your life and for a reason and for a season and some are meant for a lifetime and she's kind of a season and that season passed like it's time to like clear out everything and like make room for a fresh crop because it's time for the soil to be turned and um you can't keep growing the same crop there over and over and over again, because the soil then can no longer have the nutrition that it needs and the elements that it needs in order to continue to grow that. So you have to, like, rotate it out. This is one of those where you're rotating it out because it's no longer providing healthy fruits. Well, just because somebody calls doesn't mean you have to answer. I mean, and not to be like, you don't have to answer, or you can, if you want to, like, feel like I've said what I've said, it's like, hey, I got to be honest, I've outgrown this friendship and these are my grievances. Sometimes it's not worth it. Sometimes it's like not worth especially if you have somebody who won't own something. So it's kind of like, I'm not avoiding it. I'm just done with it. And you can say, like, I don't know. That's what I do. It's not like but like, I'm just done with things. If I've tried and I've tried to explain something and I've tried having the conversation and I've tried talking about it and I've done and done and done and done, and they don't get it and they keep saying the same behaviors, bye-bye. That's my boundary. No one has to respect your boundaries except for yourself. And you know that. I don't know. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you somebody who has boundaries and you're respecting them. It took me a long time to not feel guilty doing that. I just, I don't have a lot of time for people who, I spent a long time giving way too much to myself to people who weren't reciprocating and weren't respectful and just wanted to basically bleed me dry. And I don't have time for that anymore. So I don't feel like that was psychic. I just felt like it was like the friend part of my spiritual friend. Like, we don't need that. And you don't have to support that friendship. That becomes not a friendship. That becomes a parasitic relationship. And we don't need that. The only parasitic relationship we need in our life is, like, maybe when we're having, when you're pregnant, that's actually a parasitic relationship. That's the only one you need in your life. And that's a short period of time. And it's an understandable thing. Like, the rest of it just needs to go. Delina, I'll go ahead and refund your money if you want to come back next week. I'm here every Sunday evening at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Virginia, Eleanor, Emily, you guys are up. I've known a lot of people like that, and that's product of being raised the way I was raised. So, spiritual seeker, you're Virginia, right? Oh, I love moms. My son get a job or a girlfriend soon. Wait, Virginia, are you spiritual seeker? I just want to answer that. I just want to make sure that I'm crossing off the right people. The new chapter is Eleanor. Okay. I'll put that there. So I'm going to answer for spiritual seeker quick, because I think that's Virginia. You wrote your question. Thank you. Okay. Because I think that's, and I read the question. So I feel like he's going to get the job before the girlfriend, but I feel like the job he gets is temporary, short term, but enough to, like, land him something else. So it may be that I just take something temporarily, and then while I'm looking for something else, or I meet somebody through this temporary job that's like, hey, you should come work for me here. But it feels like temporary to land something else. And that comes before the girlfriend. And it's not his dream job, but I think he knows, like, I need to work. All right, new chapter. Where's your question? Okay, will me and George, I ever end up together in the future? What does the future hold for us? So this is interesting. I don't feel like this is like a marriage match. It feels like they said this is what's kind of weird. They said tentatively, but it's not like a wedding bells or whatever. And the tentatively feels like it would be like a very short-term relationship. And you would just feel like once I got to know with him, spent more time with him, the facade would change. The you're welcome, spiritual seeker. The like the mask would come down and I would start to go, maybe I put him on too much on a pedestal. Cause they even said you sort of put him on a pedestal. And they're like, don't do that. Like you see him as being kinder than maybe he actually is, or more generous than he actually is. It's not like I feel like he's a total jerk. It just feels like he's not exactly what you think he is. But then they said there'll be somebody shortly behind him. So I don't feel like it'll be like a long time before. So they're telling me that you tend to attract similar things, and they're sort of saying like change your inner dialogue. It's like one of those, so if you do manifesting at all, it's really about like changing that inner thought process. So instead of being like, oh, this always happens, it's sort of like I attract really healthy relationships. I attract men who may not be perfect. It doesn't mean they don't have any baggage, but they're willing to look at themselves and um, uh, do the work, right? So it's not like I have to manifest Mr. Perfect. That's like done all the like, because then sometimes if you do that, you're like, this is a lot. But it's like sort of shifting that thought process and that belief system. Yeah. So they're sort of saying what's happening is it's not about there's something wrong with you. It's just changing your thought process around relationships and what relationships mean for you, and how you think about relationships, romantically speaking, and how men are romantically speaking. And it will sort of shift you into another thing. So I feel like George and then this other guy, and you'll be like, you'll start to see the stuff and you're like, oh, I don't really need that. So it's like, I'm starting to work on consciously manifesting. I'm starting to work on my thought process towards it. I'm starting to work on my mental diet and catching myself like, well, maybe that's how some men are, but not all men are that way, because the men that I attract are I don't know, healthy, have healthy communication, are open, are honest. So some men cheat, some men do that. So instead of saying like, oh, well, all men cheat eventually, right? So there's that thought process that some people have. So it's no, they don't. Some men do. Some men make those choices. But I attract the men that are loyal, that are respectful, that respect me. You know what? I respect me. I'll always, so sometimes like we get that if, especially if we come from a broken or a kind of fucked up background, we think, and there's the whole idea of like you attract somebody like your mother or your father, whatever, like, and it's that fear of like, oh my God, I don't want to attract that. I don't want to attract that. I don't want to attract that. And like somehow you get in your head that you're going to miss it, right? They're going to get duped and it's still going to be that one. Like we do all kinds of crazy, like little subtle belief systems. So it's sort of like I trust myself to pick somebody that's good. I trust myself to see the red flags. I trust myself to avoid the pitfalls, to walk away when I see those red flags, things like that, like kind of changing all of that. You are going to attract a stable relationship and you will get married and you will have kids. I feel like too, you will have that in your mind, what you think of as being perfect, but it's just, they're sort of saying like, you can't have that if you have all of these other belief systems. Stop being stressed out. My cousin was 38 when she got married. She was, or no, she might've been a little bit younger than 38, but she had, not that I'm saying this is going to be this long for you. Okay. It's not. But she had her first kid at 38, her third kid at 43. So it's, and like apparently we have a very fertile family, so not an issue. Kids are fine, kids are healthy, but fortunately, and I understand that that's a blessing in and of itself. So I'm not to make anybody feel bad about that. But don't get caught up in the this is a race and I'm going to be late, because you're not. Remember that everything happens with perfect timing, always. So the quicker you sort of look into the idea of what belief systems do I need to change? What do I need to be looking at? How do I need to be doing this? The quicker you shift into that place. So I feel like this George guy, maybe for a couple months, and you're like, oh yeah, maybe I did manifest this, this, and this. Okay, done with that. Then you get another one, and it feels like not the second one, but the third one comes in, and that's the connection. So it doesn't mean I'm going to be with the second one for a while. It's going to be like, this is my sort of like weeding out and going, oh yeah, let me shift my thought processes. I do trust myself. Oh, look, see, I do see the red flags. Oh, look, see, I don't have to tolerate that behavior because I'm worth better, worth more than that, and I deserve better than that. Okay, well, so whenever I get readings and someone goes, the timing is, I'm like, fuck the timing, because that's what you're seeing on that timeline. And guess what? What do I need to shift in my thought process to heal from this, to work past this, to run past this block and grow and develop and heal so that I can move that up? Because I kind of want this to happen earlier for me. That's how you do it. And so then you go, oh, so that's what you're here, right? Maybe this is like, I don't want to wait 9 years. Maybe you're here to hear someone go, all you have to do is like look at your mental diet and your inner dialogue and start shifting that. And then you start attracting healthier, better, stable relationships. And understand, even if you're in a stable relationship, relationships go like this because that's normal, right? It's normal to be like, sometimes be like, this is harder, because if you just want to meet someone who's willing to do the work and grow with you. And that's that. You're welcome. I don't feel 9 years is true for that, by the way. So Emily M, Michaela, Eva, and Kishay, you guys are up. Let's hurry and get through these. This is a long night. Thank you, KK, for hanging in here and staying with me. Validation. A few months ago, you mentioned seeing me working with children remotely, and this past week, my daughter's teacher asked me to show my sewing machine. Oh, I love it. That is totally close enough. I think you'll do more of that, and I don't know how, but maybe it's, I don't know. I think you'll do more of that. So maybe, I don't know how, I don't know why, but maybe you'll do more of that. I don't think that that's your only event of that, but that's definitely, it's weird how sometimes I see things. I'm like, no, I see this happening. Sometimes we get validations about weird things, and they're sort of saying like, sometimes it's just a way for you to keep the faith and remember that like there is something bigger and there is more to stuff that's going out there and connections that we have. So Emily's first question is, my mom had a dream with grandma with a message for me, but she didn't explain it. Can I have more insight? I feel like she didn't explain it because she didn't know. Like, it feels like she just said, well, it's like, oh, I saw a dream. And it's like, oh, well, what does it mean? I don't know. Like, I don't think she really knew. I don't think she knew how to explain it. And I don't think she really looked further into it than just like face value of it. And I don't feel like your grandmother really has a deep message for you. Like, if you don't do this, or, the will is hidden in the wall. Like, wouldn't that be a great message? Like, someone's like, you thought they weren't rich, but really they had all the money behind the wall and they want you to go get it. It's interesting because I feel like even though we have the whole COVID thing and you're not doing the swim lessons and doing all of that right now, I actually feel like you're really in a good space and happier than you had been in a really long time. Like, more content. Your health is fine. I also think that when they said that, I feel like your mom, it's more her worry than grandma. That's why I'm like, I don't feel like there's really a message there. Your health is fine. Does your mom have a history of cardiac stuff though, speaking of health? Because when I connected, it was like it was the feeling of actually its mom should actually be kind of keeping an eye on her stuff. So this is not to say run out to the doctor and find a cardiologist and do an EKG and do a, a stress test and da 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 da. It just feels like if she starts complaining of stuff, don't let her ignore it. So if she's complaining of heartburn, if she's complaining of epigastric pain here, if she's complaining of jaw pain, back pain, arm pain, not quite feeling right, fatigued, consistent fatigue, anything, just don't let her ignore it because it feels like that should be looked into. But it doesn't feel like I need to run out to the doctor, but that's like sort of the feeling I get. Or if she complains of shortness of breath, like especially if she starts going up the stairs and she used to not get short of breath, but now I'm kind of getting a little short of breath when I go up the stairs. Huh. And she'll go, oh, it's probably COVID because I haven't been out and as active. Kind of be like, oh, mom, maybe you should go get that looked at. That's kind of the way I feel. Numbing in her arm. Okay. So I want you to tell her with that symptom, especially if it's her left arm, to go to the doctor. This is not something she is allowed to ignore at all. So tomorrow morning, you can even do it tonight if she's a late waker. I don't want you to scare the shit out of her tonight and then like she can't sleep and then like kind of like, or creates a problem, but she needs to go to the doctor. Okie doke. Like that one she doesn't get to get out of. Did you have a second question? She has a doctor's appointment tomorrow. That's beautiful. And I want you to make sure that she mentions her arm. That is extremely important that that does not go missed. And it's because of the dream. Okay, perfect. Do you have another question? Michaela, Eva, Quiche, you guys are up. Okay. So keep me posted. Let me know how your mom's doing. Okay, Michaela, messages I need now. Thank you. Oh, messages you need. How I don't think we ever need anything, but what would be the most beneficial for Michaela? I like to sometimes switch up your questions. I don't know why. I just do. And I wrap myself out and tell you that. Not like if it's a very direct question, but when it's a general one, sometimes I change it to be like, what's for your highest good right now? I feel like you're really open on your crown chakra and you're starting to open up your third eye and your ear chakras are starting to open up. So how does this manifest? Ear chakras would be hearing somebody as you drift off to sleep say your name or say hello. And I actually feel like you're gonna be like, no, not. So I feel like they're like in like the next 3 weeks that's gonna start going because that's like it feels like that just beginning and I'm ringing in my ears what they're talking about. And I'm specifically being pulled to my left ear, so that's what I would look at for you. And they're saying to me, we're preparing you. We're preparing you. So I don't know if this means you're going to go in and do something like I do. You're going to take psychic development classes or what, but somehow them opening you up. And they're also showing me open here. So whenever I feel it open here, I actually feel like my head spreading and I felt like floating away. Oh, they want you to do grounding work. But when I feel it here, it means I had it when I was little. And it was very intuitive. They're showing me very much with clairvoyance when you were little, because I saw like, um, in Sabrina, is it Sabrina? The girl's eyes like lit up. I think it's Sabrina, the darker one, on not the teenage witch, um, the darker version of it. The best friend's eyes, like when she had like the vision, they're showing me that. So that might have been what you had when you were little. You do tarot. Okay. Okay. So it just feels like they're preparing you. So maybe you're going to take it to the next level where you're not using the cards anymore. Maybe you're taking it's just whatever they said is they're preparing you. Maybe you're going to write a book, maybe you're going to be more I don't understand that. So it's just like they're preparing you and opening you up more. So your gifts are changing, or the ones that were dormant are less dormant now. And I think with the third eye and the vision, that makes sense with you said sometimes I have dreams and they come true. They're very prophetic. That's so Raven. No, it's not Raven. It's definitely like a darker, twistier show than that. And I think it's Sabrina is what I'm thinking of. And the eyes kind of going white. It's the one that's on Netflix with the little blonde. I don't know what her name is. Not the what's her name? Shoot, I forget. From like the 90s, not the one from the 90s. I don't know. I don't know how old everybody is on here, but whatever. Yeah, so they're preparing you is what I feel like. So not to like just to relax into it. Feels like all these changes are happening and they're sort of like just relax into it and trust us. And the feeling is because they've never let you down. The grounding thing. Okay. So I feel like I'm floating away, like I'm totally getting into this. And like they're sort of saying, when I feel like my head is floating away, I feel like I'm connecting in really easily, but I'm forgetting to remain grounded. So like easy grounding techniques are visualizing roots coming up out of the ground and wrapping around your legs and kind of holding you. You can visualize a white light coming through down from the heavens and going straight down into the earth and being in the center of the earth where you're sort of balanced in between. So you're connected still, but you're solid and down. Yeah. So I'll leave you with that. I hope that was helpful for you. Eva, and I see Keisha's questions here. Would love any guidance that would help me along my path. You're very welcome. Do you have a YouTube thing, or where do you you can tell people about your tarot if you want. Okay. Share the wealth. I do private readings, by the way, those of you that are on here and don't know. Keisha would love any guidance that would help me along my path, feeling like I'm on the precipice of change, but not sure how to get to the next chapter of my life. Okay. First, that idea that you have to know how to get there is limiting. So what if you just decide, I don't need to know how to get there or what I'm supposed to be doing. I just know that I trust the universe. I'm going to take one step at a time. And I'm going to ask the universe, I'm going to ask my guides to show me and validate for me. So show me once, I get it like in a meditation or whatever, or I get it in a reading, or the idea comes to my head. And then I'm going to see validations, or I'm going to see something popping up over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. So, and I'm giving you an example of this. And because I think it's great for me to do the readings, but like, isn't it better to like also know what you need to do to kind of like help yourself along the way, like the tricks, right? How do they know? How are they so calm about it? So when went to school in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, and I first went to UW Eau Claire. I started out in the nursing, pre-nursing, whatever program. And I decided that it was a lot of studying and I was not really up for studying. I just wanted to have fun, get through school. It wasn't like I was a crazy partier because I still had to work a lot, but I just didn't, I was like, this is fucking insane. And I did not have great study skills. So I went into healthcare administration because I wanted to stay in healthcare. Um, and I was like, I lived with a roommate who was in nursing. She'd have her friends over, they'd study, and I kept like, I'd be like one ear to the door, like not to the door, but like they'd be in the living room, and I'd be like, that's really interesting. And I wasn't like weird, but I was always like sort of paying attention. And it was like these little quiet nudges that I would get to do that. And I just was like, yeah, but I'm not doing that. I'm doing healthcare administration. And then I was driving home from an MIS class. I think it was a summer MIS class. And I heard in the right ear, like very loud, booming man voice say, you're going to go to nursing school at, and so like I changed schools and I was accepted into their nursing program like that. Like it should have worked out. And the woman's like, well, if you pass the test, I'm like, yeah, I got that test. Like, I'm not worried about it. And like, I shouldn't have been admitted because apparently there was a wait list. Like everything just sort of fell open, but it was the knock me on my ass because I wasn't paying attention to all the subtle signs. So they're sort of saying like, just pay attention to the small stuff that nudges, that pull of like, oh, I really like this. Why do I keep seeing this commercial over and over? Why does this keep popping up for me? Why do I overhear people having these conversations? Those are all subtle ways in which the universe will speak to you. It doesn't, and I'm not talking about the like Facebook algorithm to advertise for you because you searched something or you spoke about something, whatever like the theories are on that. I'm talking about in life, in your active life, seeing things come up or a commercial on TV or whatever. It That's what it feels like. And it doesn't feel like I feel like by April you're sort of like they're showing like because I was like, okay, let me see the breakthrough then. When's the breakthrough happen? And I see like this sort of it's not really like glass. It feels like a thin sheet of ice. So it's not even that it's like that hard to break through. It's like, and then breaking through. And I asked when, and they said April. So it feels like I'll have more information or I'll be sort of on the path in April. It's really not that far out. And it doesn't feel like I have to know what, like it'll become very clear as the days go on. Isn't that exciting that I can't be super specific about it? But like, it's just the feeling they're telling me. It's not hard for you to receive messages, so stop that. Get that out of your vocabulary. Take that sentence away. I easily receive messages. I easily know this is about changing and manifesting, right? So when we decide, because manifesting is whatever you put out to the universe, they just abide by the rules. So if you decide it's hard for you to get messages, then damn it, it's hard for you to get messages. And we're going to make sure it's hard for you to get messages. If you decide that you get the information easily, that you easily connect in with your intuition, the universe is just showing me stuff all the time of what I need to know and how I need to do things or what's the easiest path or what's going to, whatever, then that's the way it happens. So that's just me and trying to help you like make it easier and see where your little blocks are that are keeping you from, we create difficulty and struggle because whatever we're taught that's the way this universe has to be, but it's really not the way this universe has to be. Eva, are you still here? You're welcome, Keisha. What's your question, Eva? Kishay, by the way, my ears are really ringing right now. So, and I was like, okay, what's that about? It's connected to you. And they sort of said, it's going to seem weird, but they're like, pay attention to the things you hear. So, songs, things like that. Like, you're going to, like, there's going to be a repetitive pattern about themes and things going on, or it's listening to other people talk. Pay attention to those things. It may not be a visual, this is what it is kind of thing. Eva's here. Okay, what's your question, Eva? Please post your question. So then we can go because it's really late and KK is a doll to sit here and do this every week with me. She doesn't have to. It's completely out of the kindness of her heart. It's okay. Ah! Is there a specific spirit, or are you just talking about your guides? So, specific spirit or your guides? I'm going to go with guides. Okay. All right. Oh. Okay. So they said you need to step it up and take the opportunities that are coming towards you. So, and then they showed me the example of, when people go, the universe isn't helping me. They're not helping me. I want to go. Like, I can think of one specific example of somebody I knew, and I won't rat out who she is, even though I have nothing to do with her anymore. It was like, I need a job. I need a job. I need a job. I'm like broke, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, let's manifest it. And it's like, well, I'm putting it out there and nothing's happening. And it's like, well, she gets offered a job, but it's not the job she wants. Right. So, but it's a job and it's an income and it's like doing something, but it's not the one that she wants. Like I'm like, just take it. You're asking for money. The universe is trying to just take the job. Like, I don't have enough. I will, if you need money, you work what you have to work to get the money. Like, my sisters, when I was in college, I basically worked full time. I went to school full time, and I worked at Shopko, which is like Target, but not that but not like Kmart, but like that kind of a place. And they made fun of me for it. And I'm like, it pays better than any of the on-campus stuff. I need the money. Like, I don't really care where I work or if it's cool. I just need money. And I didn't like it because I had to do like clinicals and things like that. I couldn't work the hours, like work at a bar or something like that. And I'm not really good serving tables. And I know you don't say this, but like, I spilled a whole tray full of drinks on a gentleman in his blue tuxedo, powder blue, fugly, like wore it as a joke to this thing, to the Viennese ball. But still, I was like, and I can't afford to eat all of the drinks. So it just feels like the opportunities are being presented, and the way they showed it to me was like, that joke about the guy's like, God, there's a flood. It's flooding. I need you to send me. And then the guy comes by with a boat and the, like, I need your help. I'm trusting God, whatever. And the guy comes by with a boat and he's like, no, God's got me on this one. And like, all those things happen. And finally the guy's like in heaven, and God's like, like when he's like, God, you let me down. I just had faith in you. He's like, oh, I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. I sent you all of these things and you didn't take it. So it's like, the universe is sending you all of these things and you're sort of not taking it because you have this vision of the way it's supposed to happen or the way it's supposed to work. And they're sort of like, these are the weird little steps and runabouts in order for you to get what it is you exactly want. And they're sort of like, take these opportunities because they may not be in your head what you think that they're supposed to be, but they're like, this one leads to this one and this one and this one. And you need to start taking the opportunities because you're sort of passing by and they're like, we're trying to keep making them. And just like, you're like, but it's not this way. And they're like, just take it. Take it. Does that make any sense to you at all when I'm saying this? It's also when I talk to people about opening up their psychic abilities, they have these ideas of like how it's going to happen. And so they get a little scared, like this is the way it is, because they have this Hollywood view of like clairvoyance, right? It means I'm going to see like, the sixth sense. I see dead people, but like, I don't really see stuff that way. And it's like, they're not going to scare the shit out of you. Financially and emotionally, it's sort of like in everything, like you have this idea of the way everything is going to fall into place or the way it has to work. And they're sort of saying like, take the opportunities. It feels financially, especially for growth in all of that. But it also feels like emotionally and romantically, like not taking opportunities because they're like, yeah, maybe it's not that one, or maybe it's not this thing, but they're sort of like, it leads to something else. And maybe you needed to be in a certain place and you wouldn't be there if you would be there, but you decided not to take that opportunity. So you're missing this connection that you need to have. It just feels like in general you have, so if you think about this, in general, I have this idea and this vision of the way things are supposed to be, and I'm so fixated on something needing to be this way that it's hard when it sort of veers off and does something not completely in that vision. And so I'm like missing these opportunities where it's like, I'm going to get you to that vision, but it goes in this weird snaky roundabout way to get there. It's not linear. So are you sort of tend to be like fixated, like it has to work this way, very type A, it has to be this way. And if it's not this way, then it's not right. And Capricorns tend to be this way. Excuse my yawn. Sorry. Pardon my rudeness. Does that make sense when I say that to you, Eva? Or do you resonate with that? Do you recognize it? Yeah. Stop being controlling about the way the healing has to work. It doesn't have to, like, and I said this earlier, I had this idea that once I healed my stuff and my trauma, that I wouldn't have triggers anymore. But what I realize is I'm probably always gonna have them. And it just doesn't have to be as an intense. It doesn't have to be as, and I recognize them for what they are. And it's in all different kinds of areas because I kind of grew up with kind of a shitty childhood. It's just what it is. Also part of that is like the benefit of that is that I'm able to help other people. So I take what I can from it. And I find the silver lining and all of it. It doesn't mean it doesn't suck, but whatever. But I also like look at it like I'm going to have stuff where I go, oh, like fear of abandonment stuff or whatever. And I'm going to go, oh, that might be a little kind of like a little thing goes up and it's like, oh, now I can go, oh, that's what that is. I need to like just chill the fuck out and like send that one. Like that doesn't need to be entertained right now. But it and also like take the timeline out of how quickly you're supposed to heal. There's no timeline. Just move through it and allow it. Some wounds are so deep, like, so there's, when I worked postpartum, antepartum GY when I first got out. So some women who had C-sections, their wound would dehiss, right? So it would open up on the ends. And sometimes they couldn't, because there was so much infection and stuff going on in there, they couldn't actually suture someone shut. They would have to let you heal from the inside out. And it was a very long process. And there was a lot of dressing changes and wound care and all the stuff that had to go into it several, twice a day. And it was a lot. And it takes a really long time for something to heal from the inside out rather than just having it hold shut and you kind of go along your day and like it heals it heals, but it's not, it like literally had to heal and close shut. Um, that's sort of the feeling I get is like you have this idea that it's supposed to go this way after surgery and to be like this. And you're sort of like, your body's going, no, there was a lot going on. And it was bigger than you maybe even realized. So we need to heal like this and we need to go slower. And that's okay because that's healing too. Doesn't have to, it's all healing. It doesn't have to look a certain specific way. Okay. I'm going to leave you with this because it is so late. And I'm going to thank dear KK for being here with me. I'm so grateful for you. You're a rock star because I know you have work in the morning. I'm grateful for you and everybody that's here and supports me and anybody who watches this and sticks through this. You're welcome. Have a wonderful night, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday. Same time, same place.